There's a couple of lenses that he's using here. There's the lens of politics. There's the lens of economics. There's the lens of greed and consumerism. And then intertwined through all of those, the thread that is keeping all of those together is market manipulation. What's going on? Derek Hagan here. I am the one who sees life through the lens of philosophy, and I'm always thinking about what makes life worth living. So I'm always thinking about meaning in life, including purpose, personal values, the stories that we tell ourselves, our narratives, resilience, mindfulness, things like that. And I react to these videos with that lens to see what we might see. And in my professional life, I work with money. So money's role in a meaningful life. You can check this out at meaning.blog if you want to. So my economics and financial planning background has me interested in this Money Game Part 2. I already checked out Money Game Part 1. I heard there's a Money Game Part 3 on the way. Now, I have to admit, it's possible that I probably have heard part of this one before, just in passing, like on somebody else's phone, but I didn't pay close attention to it. If I think it's the one. So I think I've heard part of this one before. So full disclosure. Nonetheless, I'm going to check it out with my lens for meaningful living, my lens for economics, and see what we get. I love Ren. Keep the suggestions coming. What else should I be checking out? What am I getting wrong? I got the lyrics pulled up in front of me. This is something that I've needed with him. So without further ado, Ren Money Game Part 2. Let's go. Is that the same? Is that the same guitar line? Is that the same melody from Money Game Part 1? I'll have to check that out. It sounds very familiar. Ren wasn't playing that in Money Game Part 1. And there was a place.
Strange time we're living in panic and hysteria. Poor man learn, the rich man don't care for your narcissist mindset spread like malaria. Sit back and watch the show. America, Britain, split through fickle shit. A government of hypocrites. These counterfeit politicians sit in parliament, not adequate. Come on. Needlessly bleeding, resources all dry. Turn a blind eye if it means a pay rise. Oh, what a shame it would be, I would die if number 10 Downing Street burned in a fire.
What's number 10 Downing Street? In fact, I'm going to look that up right now because I feel like I should know this. Bear with me. It looks like it is in London. Okay, that's the Prime Minister. So it's like the White House kind of, or the Capitol building.
Only joking, only messing, don't be stressing. I'm a peaceful adolescent, there's no need to be unpleasant. Write my thesis in a rhyme scheme to analyze the brain while my fingers on the trigger of a money game. Oh, rain, 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 rain.
Hold up.
My fingers on the trigger.
Analyze the brain. Write my thesis to analyze the brain. Well, like you speaking my language here. How the brain works is very interesting and effective for helping live a better life. He's also talking about this money game from Part 1.
Trigger of a money game. Oh, rain, 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 rain. A storm it comes our way. And no surprise to distorted lies. Poison in the veins, but we died upon the blame, 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 blame. It's easier to blame. We point the mirror at ourselves. We're all part of this whole money game.
I see little clips of the first video.
This old money game. This old money is a game and the ladder we climb turns a saint into a sinner with his finger in crime. I'll break it down for you motherfuckers line by line. This is business economics in a nursery rhyme. She sells seashells on a seashore, but the value of the
Wait. This is what he was talking about in High Ren, isn't it? The inner critic character. So that wasn't just random. Okay.
These shells will fall due to the laws of supply and demand. No one wants to buy shells because there's loads on the sand. Step one, you must create a sense of scarcity. Shells will sell much better if the people think they're rare, you see. Bear with me, take as many shells as you can find and hide them on an island. Stockpile them high until they're rarer than a diamond. Step two, gotta make the people think that they want them. Really want them, really fucking want them. Hit them like Bronson. Influencers, product placement, featured primetime entertainment. If you haven't got a shell, then you're just a fucking waste, man. Free, it's monopoly. Invest inside some property. Start a corporation, make a logo, do it properly. Shells must sell, that will be a new philosophy. Swallow all your morals, they're a poor man's quality. 4. Expand, expand, expand. Clear forest, make land, fresh blood on hands. 5. Why just shells? Why limit yourself? She sells seashells, sell oil as well. 6. Guns, sell stock, sell diamonds, sell rock, sell water to a fish, sell the time to a clock. 7. Press on the gas, take your foot off the brakes, then run to be the president of the United States. 8. Big smile, make big wave, that's great. Now the truth is overrated, tell lies out the gate. 9. Polarize the people, controversy is the game. It don't matter if they hate you, if they all say your name. 10. The world is yours. Step out on the stage to a round of applause. You're a liar, cheat, a devil, a whore, and you sell seashells on the seashore. Rain, 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 rain. A storm, it comes our way. And no surprise to distorted lies. Poison in the veins, but we die upon the blame, 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 blame. It's easier to blame. We point the mirror at ourselves. We're all part of this whole money game. This old money game.
I like all the clips
This old.
to the first one. All right, so I talked a little more than I usually do during the first passing. I liked the callback or call forward. I liked recognizing that High Ren was referencing this song. I liked seeing all the callbacks to the first Money Game. I'm gonna go back, check it out again. You're welcome to stay with me if you want. You don't have to. If you're not, I'll see you next time. But I'm going to go through again. There's a couple of lenses that he's using here. There's the lens of politics. There's the lens of economics. There's the lens of greed and consumerism. And then intertwined through all of those, the thread that is keeping all of those together is market manipulation, which we'll talk a lot about as we go back through. So let's go back and check out Money Game Part 2 with analysis and commentary.
Strange time we're living in, panic and hysteria. Poor man learn, the rich man don't care for you.
All right, so I don't know when this came out. I should know when this came out, but I don't. Was this about? I mean, I'm imagining this is 2020 pandemic times. So this is the strange times. There's panic, there's hysteria, and the poor men learn that the rich don't care for you is a nod or a take on, the rules didn't seem to apply to a different set of people. Politicians got to go, do things to say that normal people like us didn't.
Narcissist mindset spread like malaria. Sit back and watch the show. America written, split through fickle shit. A government of hypocrites.
Come on, that's just politics. They're all hypocrites. That's obviously my own bias. It's the bigger the politician, if you go to like local city council, that's less likely to be a hypocrite in a stereotypical politician. But as they become a mayor and a governor and a senator and up you go, it's hard for me to believe that they wouldn't become more corrupt.
These counterfeit politicians sit in parliament, not adequate. Come on. Needlessly bleeding resources all dry. Turn a blind eye if it means a pay rise. Oh, what a shame it would be, I would die if number 10 Downing Street burned in a fire. Only joking, only messing, don't be stressing. I'm a peaceful adolescent, there's no need to be unpleasant. Write my thesis in a rhyme scheme to analyze the brain while my fingers on the trigger of a money game. Oh, rain, 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 rain.
So that whole first verse is about politicians, and then he brings up the money game again, which is to say, again, this is through my lens of economics, you've got what the markets will do, which is not necessarily a money game. I think where he's going is, we talked about this last time. If you want to learn about money being a tool versus a goal, check out Money Game Part 1. I'll link to that in the comments. But there's what the markets are going to do. And a market means anything. Most people will think of a stock market or a bond market or a currency market or something. But there's everything's a market. What's the market for labor? There's a labor market. That's where you hear things like unemployment. Is there a market, the supply of labor? That would be me trying to find a job. And there's a demand for labor. That would mean companies need to find workers. So there's markets all over the place, and markets generally will take care of themselves. The politicians, though, they can tweak, they can influence the supply and demand of all these various markets. And if they're doing that for shady purposes, which he was suggesting in the first verse, it distorts the true nature of the actual markets and how they operate.
The storm it comes our way. And no surprise to distorted lies, poison in the veins, but we don't want to blame. It's easier to blame.
Easier to blame than what? Accept responsibility? I would take that to be true. Easier, but not better. Again, we got the short-term, long-term problem, so to accept responsibility is to admit that I'm wrong, and that is just not something that we're wired to do. If you go back to your ancestors, your distant ancestors living in tribes, to be wrong means that you're not going to be the leader, because we've got the small tribes and we've got competing tribes, and we need people that can keep us safe. And if you're wrong, that's bad. So in those days, and these are the genes that we have. These are the genes that we got from our ancestors. We don't live in those times anymore, but we still have the same brain. So today, it's better for me. It's better for society. So let's start with society. It's better for society, which is good. There's an altruistic case, but there's even a selfish case. It's better for me to own up and fess up and take responsibility, because then in the long run, people learn I'm the kind of guy who tells the truth. And when I'm telling the truth and I say something good, well, you put more faith in that. You put more weight in that now, because I've already told you the hard truth. I've already fessed up. I've already learned from my mistakes. But in the short run, absolutely, it is easier to say, no, you did it. I only did that because you did this, and you made me do that, and I only did this because I was doing too much shit. So, yeah, 100% it's easier to blame.
Good point, the mirror brought ourselves. We're all part of this whole money game.
And the money game, now after a couple of watchings of this video, the one that's up, part 1 and part 2, the money game is it's greed, I think is what the money game is referring to. But again, you don't have to play the money game. Optional.
This old money game.
Unless he's saying that by not playing, I'm still playing a different role.
This old money is a game, and the ladder we climb turns a saint into a sinner with his finger in crime.
This is exactly what we talked about in part 1. If you're motivated by money instead of getting the most out of your life, if you're using money as a goal instead of a tool, then it changes who you are, because it motivates you in perverted ways.
Rhyme. I'll break it down for you motherfuckers line by line. This is business economics in the nursery rhyme.
So it's not business economics. But he hasn't used motherfucker that I've come across yet. So anyway, well, he's incorrect about this. And I'll tell you my opinion on how he's wrong, but I'll also tell you about some of the things that I think he's got right.
She sells seashells on a seashore, but the value of these shells will fall due to the laws of supply and demand. No one wants to buy shells because there's loads on the sand.
Yes. So supply and demand, this is the driving force behind all markets. The market for shells, in this case. The market for companies on the stock market. The market for interest rates. The market, which is the market for money. How much is money worth? Or how much does money cost? It's the interest rate. The market for labor. The market for cars. The market for books. The market for food. Whatever. It's all driven by supply and demand. That's really not even just economics, but all economics in a nutshell. Supply and demand drives everything, and people maximize. People are maximizers. They might not know what they're optimizing for or maximizing for. You know, people don't always optimize for money. If you're optimizing for money, then you're playing Ren's money game. Some people optimize for free time. If you're like me, you're optimizing for meaning in life. Some people optimize for laziness. I want to do the least possible. Some people optimize for uncomfortable conversation avoidance. But we're all optimizing whether we know it or not. So supply and demand drives everything. Incentives matter. So if you tinker with supply and demand and provide incentives for suppliers or demanders, that will change the market for it. And the third level is something called opportunity cost, which means resources are finite. There's finite money, there's finite time, there's finite energy. All resources are finite. And so the problem of economics is satisfying unlimited wants with limited resources. So unlimited uses of resources with limited resources, which means we have to prioritize. That's economics, is priorities. How do you prioritize? So he's saying supply and demand for shells. There's a large supply. So the higher the supply, the lower the price. Because there's more opportunity. If I want to go get a hot dog and there's another hot dog vendor on the other side of the street, there's more supply. Therefore, the price will be less. At the same time, there's less demand because what the hell do I want a shell for? I don't have any use for a shell. If I don't eat hot dogs, it doesn't matter how much supply of hot dogs there are or how few supply of hot dogs there are. I don't want a hot dog because I don't eat hot dogs. So both of these forces work together.
Step 1, must create a sense of scarcity. Shells will sell much better if the people think they're rare, you see.
Okay, that's true. This on a sense of scarcity shrinks the supply curve, or the perception is that you're shrinking the supply curve. So now there's fewer shells to satisfy the same demand because we're only tinkering with one of these curves at the same time. So in this case, he wants to move the supply curve, shrink the supply curve.
Bear with me, take as many shells as you can find and hide them on an island, stockpile them high until they're rarer than a diamond. Step.
So this is where he gets into, he wants to shift the supply curve to the left, but he wants to do this by something called market manipulation. And market manipulation is when you intentionally manipulate the market for things for your own gain. And this is illegal, for your own gain. I think it's a game, but this is illegal. You can't manipulate markets. This is in the stock market, insider trading. Well, it's not really exactly the same. But if I flood the market with some kind of stock so that the price comes down so that I can buy it, or if I have some option on it, if I'm intentionally manipulating this market, pump and dump schemes, I have this stock and I want to sell it to you, and I create this false demand and I make it look like this company is going to do things, and the price goes up and up and up, and I keep selling it to these victims at these higher prices. That price is inflated, though. I inflated those prices by market manipulation. So what he's suggesting here is to manipulate the market of shells by making it look like there is no supply. So you're taking them on an island and hiding them.
2, gotta make the people think that they want it.
All right. Now he's coming in at the demand. So the first case was, let's limit the supply. And at the same time, he wants to increase demand. Now, either of these things would raise the price. So go back to the hot dogs. All else equal, if I shrink the number of hot dog vendors, the same number of demanders, the same number of hot dog eaters will now have to go to one supplier, or fewer suppliers at least, and the price will go up because I don't have all these hot dogs, so I have to raise the price. Otherwise, there's going to be a shortage. Or same number of suppliers, but all of a sudden people want hot dogs because some news came out that hot dogs cure cancer. Now everybody wants the hot dogs and they're all flooding. Now, what he's saying here is you're manipulating both. Now, I want to shrink the supply of the shells. At the same time, I'm increasing the demand of the shells.
Really fucking want, hit 'em like Bronson. Influencers, product placement, featured primetime entertainment. If you haven't got a shell, then you're just a fucking waste, man.
Yeah. So now he's talking about marketing and advertising, consumerist culture, which is to say, you know, we've hit about this. If you've seen other Ren reactions that I've done, we hit about this a lot, or hit on this a lot. We like free things, or we like things that look free. So I don't want to pay to watch TV. I don't want to pay to listen to a podcast. I don't want to pay for this, or I don't want to pay for that. So what looks like it's free, I actually am paying with my attention through the advertisements. So that's how I pay. So because this content isn't free, it needs to be funded somewhere. And if I don't pay for it directly, it gets paid for by a marketer. So now in this case, I'm influencing demand. This isn't necessarily illegal. This isn't market manipulation, or at least the illegal market manipulation of hiding shells. But you're advertising to make people seem like they want it.
I'm free, it's monopoly. Invest inside some property. Start a corporation, make a logo, do it properly. Shells must sell, that will be a new philosophy. Swallow all your morals, they're a poor man's quality.
So create a company to sell the shells. Now that you've created this demand and you've created a scarcity, a lack of supply, now your philosophy is to sell them. And this is where the greed kind of comes in. You don't want to have morals if you're going to sell these worthless things to people who only think that they want them and they only think that they're valuable. Now, a bubble can be thought of when the price is a lot higher than the value, right? So here's the value. The value might go up over time, but the price is higher. The difference between the price and the value is like an air bubble. So stocks can do this. You might have a bubble in tech stocks. You might have a bubble in house prices. You might have a bubble in currencies, cryptocurrencies. But this is the point. It's on you. You are part of if you want to use money game, you are part of the economy. So you don't have to buy shells just because you think you're supposed to. Just because I saw some ad for it and a newspaper article said it's rare, that does not mean you need shells. This is still on you. And here's a quick trick. Every time you're about to make a purchase, try this just for 3 days. Every time you're about to make a purchase, stop, pause, and say, before I make this purchase, do I really want this, or am I being tricked? Do I really want this, or did I see an ad? Do I really want this, or did a neighbor buy this? Do I really want this, or do I think I'm being tricked? And just see what happens.
Expand, expand, expand. Clear forest, make land, fresh blood on hands. 5. Why just shells? Why limit yourself? She sells seashells, sell oil as well. 6 on sell.
So sell a bunch of things. So now he's talking about multiple markets. So there's the market for shells, then there's the market for oil, and there's the market for guns, and there's the market for diamonds, rocks. So there's all kinds of different markets that you can get into. And he's choosing what we call sin stocks, well, I guess guns are. Well, the other ones is stocks. Stocks are just companies. That's just a company. So to every seller of a stock, there's a buyer. In every case, there is a buyer and a seller. There's not just leftover stocks laying around the end of the street. So every transaction has both a buyer and a seller. So if you ever hear on the news, there's more buyers today, or there's more sellers today than buyers, there can't be. There's more buyers than sellers. There literally can't be. Every buyer has a seller. Every seller has a buyer. Sell water to a fish. Again, that's up to the fish to say, I don't need this water. Sell time to a clock. It's for the clock to say, I can do this on my own.
Sell stock, sell diamonds, sell rock, sell water to a fish, sell the time to a clock. 7. Press on the gas, take your foot off the brakes, then run to be the president of the United States. 8. Big smile, make big wave, that's great. Now the truth is overrated, tell lies out the gate. 9. Polarize the people, controversy is the game. It don't matter if they hate you, if they all say your name. 10. The world is yours. Step out on the stage to a round of applause. You're a liar, cheat, a devil, a whore, and you sell seashells on the seashore. Rain, 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 rain. A storm, it comes our way. And no surprise to distorted lies. Poison in the veins, but we died upon the blame, 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 blame. It's easier to blame. We point the mirror at ourselves. We're all part of this whole money game.
All right. So there's a fine line here, because on one hand he's talking about corruption, greed, consumerism, bubbles, falling prey to crooked salesmen, crooked politicians, which I'm all on board with. That's 100% true. The fine line, though, is to criticize the economy. The economy is not the problem. The people who are taking advantage of economies or markets or whatever it happens to be, that's the problem. But the whole point is it's all around us. The money game is here. The money game is the water, and we're the fish. Right? Money is an abstract concept. Money is all around us. Money is our water. Yeah. It's the old joke that these two little fish are swimming by and they see an older fish. And the older fish says to the younger fish, "Morning, boys. Water sure is nice today." And they swim on their way. And after a little bit, one of the little fish turns to the other little fish and says, "What the hell is water?" Because if this is all it is, if this is all around you, you don't really know. So step one, I suppose, is recognizing that you're playing this money game. And then that rise in awareness helps you choose what role you want to play in that money game. So tell me I'm wrong. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me how I'm wrong. Tell me what parts you agree with. Tell me what parts you like. Tell me what else I need to check out. Money Game 3, I don't think is out yet. If it is, let me know. But what else should I check out? Tell me if this is the kind of thing you like to see. Tell me if this is the kind of thing you didn't like to see. And I will see you next time.